I don't even know where to start with this Money in the Bank pay-per-view here tonight. I mean, it is clear, if one thing is clear, it is that Money in the Bank was going to have a big impact on WWE going into these next couple months, the summer months, particularly going into the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And my impression coming out of this show here tonight is that instead of taking what they have and repositioning things to take the relatively boring and unexciting tides of WWE television that we're getting nowadays, they could have turned that with this pay-per-view, which has been positioned to be a big one going into these next couple months, that has big impact, that's going to create a big splash. Instead of going for things that make sense, and instead of going for things that actually have storyline continuation and are going to position these superstars in the best possible manner going forward with everything that we're going to see going into these next couple months, WWE instead decided to go the unpredictable route for the sake of something that I cannot even explain to you. It's like this company runs on two things: not listening to their fans and doing what they want, and being unpredictable when they see it fit, when they want to be unpredictable, just to give the fans a big FU. And that's exactly what this show felt like here tonight. It felt like a big FU, because this show had its highlights. I'm not going to put that aside. It had its highlights. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura was a very entertaining matchup. Same thing with Elias and Seth Rollins. They put on a very good matchup. The opening contest between Daniel Bryan and Big Cass was actually a very good affair that improved upon what they did at Backlash. The Money in the Bank ladder matches, while they were going on, were very enjoyable. But once again, the crutch that seems to hold WWE down each and every single time, and when it comes down to, is just the absolutely terrible booking decisions that they decide to make. And coming off of a show like NXT TakeOver, the Chicago show that we saw last night, there's no way that anything that the crowd that was in the audience, what we were watching at home, there's no way that anything that we saw on this show tonight was even going to compete. But what bothers me is that WWE doesn't even try, because if there's something that you have to know coming out of that show, it's the amount of passion and the amount of drive that is in everybody's heart, that it's in everybody's mind on an NXT TakeOver show. Something that is just completely missing on these WWE pay-per-views, and you don't just see it in the talent, which you do, but you see it all the way up to the top when it comes to booking these shows. This show was thrown together, lackadaisical booking decisions. If there was thought, if there was care put into what we were watching here tonight, I guarantee you that this would not be the product that we are getting. So many things here tonight, so many things did not make sense, and this could have been a show that could have been very enjoyable had WWE actually put their minds to work. But instead, they continue to give us the same bullshit that we see each and every single times, and it goes to show you when you're having Alexa Bliss win the Money in the Bank. What is the thought process behind that? Why does WWE have to continue to push their own corporate agenda? What is the infatuation with Alexa Bliss? I don't get it. What is this infatuation with Alexa Bliss? I don't. Why did Braun Strowman need the Money in the Bank here tonight? What sense does it make to give a guy as over as Braun Strowman the Money in the Bank? What is Braun Strowman going to do with the Money in the Bank? How is that Money in the Bank going to enhance a Braun Strowman more than it would have anybody else in that matchup? How would that money, just think about it this way, how is that Money in the Bank going to impact and give a certain boost to a superstar like Rusev? Just think of the boost that a Money in the Bank would give Rusev, and then think of the boost that the Money in the Bank is giving Braun Strowman. What boost is it giving him? None. None, because Braun Strowman does not need that briefcase. Yet here tonight, I guess for the sake of unpredictability, WWE gives it to Braun Strowman when it doesn't even fit his character at all. What was actually a pretty decent matchup between Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey has to be ruined with the absolutely wrong result. And that's what it kept coming down to here tonight, the wrong result. Mix that in with the fact that WWE just absolutely denied their fans in the Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal encounter, which was an absolute piss poor just array of boos and disgusting crowd reactions that you should not be seeing at any wrestling event, but this is what it comes to. And quite frankly, I have to say that crowd reaction that we saw to Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal, it was absolutely deserved. It was absolutely deserved. And I was soaking up every minute of it because it just goes to show you how if they're going to give us something that does not work, that on such a fundamental level, anybody with a brain should know that Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns is going to be something that is shit on, yet WWE refuses to budge. They still give this as a program in attempts to do I don't even know what. What were you attempting to achieve with this program? The only thing I can guess is to get Roman Reigns over. And it's that desperation to get Roman Reigns over. Where is this coming from? What is this corporate agenda? Same thing with Alexa Bliss. She comes off as the female Roman Reigns. What is this corporate agenda? Nobody cares about this crap. And something like that was seen completely when the crowd was chanting such things as CM Punk, when they were throwing a beach ball around, when they were chanting delete, when they were chanting end this match, when they were chanting Rusev Day, when they were chanting boring, Johnny Wrestling, let's go Cena, Cena sucks, when they were chanting Y2J, Velveteen, and they were doing the wave in the middle of this matchup. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Yet here's the thing. They can continue to boo, they can continue to chant all these things, and this happens each and every single time that Roman Reigns steps into the ring. Each and every single time. And I'm just sitting here wondering, when is WWE going to listen? Because if this is happening every single time, this isn't a coincidence. This isn't because, oh, this is a rabid crowd here tonight. This isn't a one-time thing. It's happening each and every single time. Yet WWE continues to neglect it. They continue to push Roman as a babyface. They continue to try to get Roman Reigns over desperately. They continue to put him in there with heels. The commentators continue to push Roman Reigns. They don't acknowledge what is clearly going on in the crowd. They don't. And it's clear from every single fiber of what you're watching. The camera angles are manipulated. The crowd noise. Why is the crowd noise being manipulated? Just for one guy. And for such a consistent amount of time. It's time you cut it out. It is time you cut it out. And everything that you've seen on this show just came across as garbage. Garbage. It's like this show was so inconsistent and back and forth. You're up, all right. WWE, the next match, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, 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 up, up. Like, what is this? Where is the consistency on the show? Last night, NXT TakeOver, it was a smooth sailing ship of good to great. Good to great. It was consistent. It was enjoyable throughout the entire night. And even when something wasn't the most enjoyable thing, you're still invested in it. I cannot care less about anything that we're seeing on these shows. I can't. It's just absolutely ridiculous that this is what it's come to. This show was very, very inconsistent and had a lot of freaking holes. And we're going to go over all of this in detail. And quite frankly, this is something that I can safely tell you was expected. You look at this card up and down, and you look at the way WWE has been writing their television as of late, and you expected this same old, just lopsided booking that makes no sense. And it's so disappointing, because coming out of a show like NXT TakeOver, you know there's people in that company who care. You know there's people in that company who are willing to put in their blood, sweat, and tears to put on a great show, and then each and every single week, each and every single month, this is what we get. This putrid garbage is what we get on the main roster. There's no reason for that. When you have guys like AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins, Elias, Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, women, Sasha Banks, Charlotte, Ember Moon, Becky Lynch, and this is what we get? This? You've got to be kidding me. This is pathetic, is what that is. And this show, when it could have been something that actually delivered, continues to be something that is just underwhelming, disappointing garbage, and quite frankly, a waste of time. That's another thing on this show here tonight. Why was this show 4 hours and 20 minutes? Who the hell wants to sit and watch or do anything for 4 hours and 20 minutes? Yet here tonight, that's exactly what we were gifted with Money in the Bank. This show ran way too long. And this is the way it's going to be with each and every single pay-per-view from here on out with WWE shows going forward, because they make these shows dual-branded, nonsensical crap. I'm telling you, bro, unlike an NXT TakeOver show where I want this show to continue, by the time this show hits the 2-hour mark, I'm begging and clamoring for this crap to end. I want to go do something else. It's pathetic. It is very, very pathetic. And this show here tonight, like I told you, it had its ups, it had its downs, but it was very inconsistent. And the fact that it was so inconsistent, even when we were in the middle of an up, I was still thinking of that down and saying, that just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm trying to get it out. Like AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Before that, we got Carmella versus Asuka. So I'm still trying to wipe the bad taste out of my mouth from Carmella versus Asuka, which was terrible. I'm still trying to wipe that bad taste out of my mouth halfway through AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. So half of AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which was an excellent encounter here tonight, was pretty much butchered for me because of this show's inconsistency. And it sucks because this show had a fantastic crowd. Imagine the show that we could have received here tonight if everything would have been on par when it comes to the booking. Holy shit, this could have been a fantastic show. The crowd reactions, when they actually cared, were absolutely fantastic. This crowd was one of the best main roster crowds that we've seen in a very long time. They did not hold back. Chicago, you were fantastic here tonight. You did exactly what a crowd is supposed to do. They voiced their opinions and they let it be known who they want and who they do not. And that's exactly what they did in that Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal match. And I have to congratulate them for that. We're going to talk about all this in detail, all of the things I've just been running through in this little intro rant here. We're going to go through all of it, and I'm sorry if I sound a little bit off tone or if my voice isn't as crazy excited as it usually is when I'm actually have some rest, but this show exhausted me, and that's the feeling that I get out of these shows. I'm exhausted. I come out exhausted. Why is that the case? Where with NXT TakeOver, there's this buzz, there's this excitement after the show is over. You're happy, you're uppity, you're jumping around. Oh my God, that was a great show. And last night, it was a show where the heel won. That's the end of the show. The heel won. And either way, everybody's happy, everybody's upbeat, because that was a fantastic show. Meanwhile, we have to come out of Money in the Bank with this piss-poor, tired, underwhelmed, inconsistent reaction. Why is that the case? Why? Either way, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go over everything that you're hearing here in detail. But before we do go into that, I just want to tell you guys to make sure to go check out all the other content on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. And of course, the reason I say that is because there is so much other content to go check out. Just last night, of course, you can find the NXT TakeOver Chicago review. Excuse me if I'm a little slower remembering all this stuff off the top of my head, because I'm exhausted. But either way, NXT TakeOver Chicago review. That show was amazing. We reviewed it last night on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, and I don't even think I gave you guys a proper intro. This is the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. You are listening to Joel Perez right now, and this is your Money in the Bank 2018 review and results video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying what you're hearing here so far. Make sure to go check out all the other content. Like I was saying, preview and predictions for Money in the Bank are up on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. If you do want to know my initial reactions and thoughts going into this show, we also did Monday Night Raw and Smackdown live reviews earlier in the week, so make sure to go check those out. Do not miss it. Each and every single week, everything regarding the WWE right here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe. No better time to subscribe to the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel than now. So make sure to smash that subscribe button. Also make sure to click on that notification bell to get all those notifications straight to your mobile device. Make sure to like this video if you enjoy what you're hearing here, and comment what you're thinking in the comments section below, or like I like to call it, the enlightenment box down below. Of course, tell me what you thought about Money in the Bank here tonight. Did you have a more positive opinion than I did here tonight, or did you have a more negative opinion? Tell me everything you thought. Multiple matches on this show here tonight. Leave your individual opinions on those. Make sure to do it all. Comment section below. Best place for you to reach out to me right there, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. Those are the two social media platforms. Hopefully social media platforms will expand to Facebook as well. The Twitter of the same name, it is actually the official handle. You can type in Ringside Wrestling and you'll probably find it, but the official handle of the Twitter is RW, of course, Wrestling ENT. You can make sure to go check that out on the Twitter, and of course Instagram. We update videos on there and post the thumbnails so you guys can be up to date. Ringside Wrestling ENT. So make sure to go follow both of those social media accounts, because for now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be going straight into the Money in the Bank review and results, and we're going to start from the top of the show here tonight. It was Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, and as far as comparing this to WWE's last pay-per-view goes, Backlash, well, I guess you can say this show blew Backlash out of the water. This show was leagues and bounds ahead of whatever the hell we saw at Backlash, and at least there's that. Backlash is going to go down. I have no doubt in my mind that that is going to go down as the worst pay-per-view of the year. Backlash was an absolute piss-poor show. That was garbage. That was garbage. But either way, it was Money in the Bank 2018 from Chicago, Illinois here tonight. Once again, just another shout out to that Chicago crowd. They were fantastic here tonight, but it did start off here tonight with Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. And speaking of the Chicago crowd being so overly fantastic here tonight, Daniel Bryan was over here tonight. Holy shit, the crowd would not let up. Daniel Bryan was in the middle of that ring, and everybody was going crazy for the yes man. Either way, to talk about this matchup here, these two guys definitely redeemed themselves from the disaster that was Backlash. There's no doubt about that. This was a rematch from that very pay-per-view, and this match was a lot more fast-paced. There was just some downright better wrestling in this matchup, and there's no doubt that the Chicago crowd, they certainly helped the odds here in this matchup. Daniel Bryan, like I said, was incredibly over here tonight. Holy shit. But either way, the general consensus here was that as good as this matchup was, you look at it up and down, and you cannot care about anything that you're seeing here. You can't invest yourself in the result of this matchup, whether it's Big Cass or whether it's Daniel Bryan winning here, because there is no investing storyline. There is no storyline that back this matchup up, that makes you care. And back to NXT here, and I know I'm going to mention this a lot, but when you have these takeovers in conjunction with the bigger WWE pay-per-views, it just goes to show you the weakness of WWE's programming compared to NXT. And what I hear is that, oh, NXT is so much more wrestling heavy. Clearly the main roster isn't going to be that way. NXT, sure, it's wrestling heavy, but the reason that we care about everything that we see on NXT is because there is storyline to back it up, because there is investment and there is entertainment to back it up. That's why NXT is so fantastic. That's why. Why do you think I cared about a matchup like Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream last night? It's not because Ricochet's a fantastic wrestler and Velveteen Dream is a fantastic wrestler. No, it's because there was an amazing storyline of anything you can do, I can do better. And that moniker was constantly kept throughout the matchup. And the storytelling came across to me as brilliant and sharp. And something so simple was made into something so investing, in something that I really set my mind into. Why do you think I cared about a matchup like Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano? It's not because Tommaso Ciampa is a great wrestler and Johnny Gargano is a great wrestler. It's because there's this blood rivalry going on between these two men that stretches back to the days of, I guess, 2016 when they were a tag team. Tommaso Ciampa believes that the crowd betrayed him and he wasn't going to let that happen. He knew he was going out with injury, and you know what? He was going to turn his back on Johnny Gargano because he knew the crowd was going to turn his back on him and Johnny Gargano was going to turn his back on him if he didn't do it first. So he took his opportunity to strike, and ever since Ciampa has come back from injury, he has made it his mission to make Johnny Gargano's life a living hell. Meanwhile, you've had Johnny Gargano trying to climb his way back up from being betrayed by his best friend. He came so close at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, almost winning the NXT Championship, which he so desperately sought for after, of course, being betrayed by his best friend, after being betrayed by somebody who he had so much success with. I mean, that's a storyline. That is a storyline right there. What we see on the main roster, there's nothing here to invest myself in. Oh, Big Cass is the big man. Daniel Bryan's the little guy. How many times have we seen that storyline over and over again? That comes across as boring. That comes across as lazy. That comes across as mediocre. And you know something? For a developmental brand that NXT is supposed to be, wouldn't you consider Big Cass more developmental than anybody that you see down in NXT? Holy shit. But either way, this matchup did deliver on certain aspects here tonight. Not to shit on this matchup too much, but I mean, there was no storyline to back it up, and thus there was no care here to back that up either. But there were some cool spots here, like Cass catching Bryan with like a Winds of Change type move after a huge flurry of momentum from Bryan. Bryan flew onto Big Cass, who was at the ringside area all the way from the top turnbuckle. That looked so impressive. I'm like, oh shit, Daniel Bryan just came back from injury like 2 months ago. He's already doing shit like that. This guy does not slow down. That looked amazing. Either way, in the end, Daniel Bryan won here after catching Big Cass with the big knee and locking in the heel hook in this matchup. It was the right result here, and it just goes to show you how getting the right result can actually lift the momentum of a matchup that much. I'm telling you, if Big Cass would have done this matchup, nobody would have been talking about this matchup in the high regards that we're talking about it here. It was a good matchup here tonight. Back and forth offense. They never lingered too much on Big Cass, just shitting all over Bryan for most of this matchup. Bryan, he got enough momentum in, and everything came across as pretty smoothly here tonight. These guys were never going to put on a 5-star classic, 4-star classic type match, but for what both of these guys are expected to go in there and do, it was a good matchup, and credit to Daniel Bryan for bringing Big Cass to that, and credit to Big Cass for stepping his game up here tonight and being able to compete on that level where he can be considered to have a good matchup. Either way, Nothing too amazing here tonight. That was Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, and that was an up. That was an up. But immediately, you have to move down into a down here tonight because this show was inconsistent as all hell. It was Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley. And you know already that from what we seen from this feud, this matchup was going to be piss poor shit. And you know what? That's exactly what it was. I was actually expecting this matchup to be actually pretty decent in the middle of that ring, bell to bell, because you already know what type of performer Sami Zayn is. Maybe they were going to put on a back and forth encounter where Bobby Lashley looked good in the end and he pulled out a great win. Great first singles matchup for Bobby Lashley since returning to the WWE. Win-win right there, and you can rectify some of the damage that this feud has done as far as awful WWE programming goes. You know what? They didn't even try. They didn't even try to do that here tonight because the end result here ended up being a squash match pretty much. Sami Zayn got in very, very little offense, and it was Bobby Lashley pretty much quote-unquote embarrassing Sami Zayn, which does not help anything here because Sami Zayn was incredibly over here tonight, and if anything, Bobby Lashley lost momentum from putting in such a lackluster match. If there was something else that Bobby Lashley had going for him, there's two things that he had going for him. It was his dominance and maybe, perhaps, actually being able to put on a good matchup. Here tonight, he had both of those things. He could have proven both of those things. They tried to get the dominance across, but as far as being good in the ring goes, he's shown nothing. And even his finisher's garbage, bro. He hit that delayed vertical suplex like 3 times, and he pinned Sami Zayn. This was terrible. This was absolutely terrible, and quite frankly, the rest of the feud has been terrible, so what can you expect? What can you expect from both of these guys here tonight? Either way, instead of actually showcasing some new moves for Bobby Lashley, fleshing this guy out in the middle of the ring, we've seen so little of him since returning, have him hit a spear, have him hit an impressive clothesline, something, have him hit 6 different types of suplexes, but no, instead they make this a squash match and not even a good squash matchup. Holy shit, bro. 3 delayed vertical suplexes, some torture racks that looked terrible. I actually thought he was going to hit the Dominator, which was his old finishing move, and that was an actual finishing move. That looked fantastic. When he had him in that torture rack position, I'm like, he should hit the Dominator. Nope, none of that. None of that. Where the hell did that go? Holy shit. How am I actually able to say that this Bobby Lashley is worse than the old Bobby Lashley? And if you don't remember, the old Bobby Lashley was a green as hell garbage representation of whatever he's supposed to be. So, I mean, this is even more terrible than that somehow. That just goes to show you the new lows that WWE has hit with this guy. This guy is a waste of goddamn time. And quite frankly, WWE, whatever the hell you're paying him, it's a waste of that too. Garbage. Absolutely terrible matchup. A waste of Sami Zayn, who we know is so goddamn talented. Waste of time. All around. This feud was garbage, and if WWE has it in their right mind to continue this crap, I don't know who the hell is writing for WWE, but they should be terminated immediately. From here, we went on to another up, so that just goes to show you the inconsistency of the show once again. It was up, down, up. It was Elias versus Seth Rollins here tonight for the Intercontinental Championship, and Elias was incredibly over here tonight. So much so that during his wonderful pre-match performance, he got the crowd calling themselves scumbags. That is absolutely hilarious right there. He was like, oh, we're in Chicago here tonight. These are all just a bunch of scumbags trying to get as much attention as they can. And that started a "We are scumbags" chant. That was hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious and goes to show you how over Elias is in this environment. But this was undoubtedly a very good match, and definitely the best match Elias has been in since arriving in WWE. And that speaks to both of the talent of Elias and Seth Rollins here. That goes to show you how Seth Rollins is just so great at elevating everybody around him that he's able to bring Elias to such a great match. And that just goes to show you how great Elias is. The big question coming into this matchup was, what is going to be the singles match caliber of Elias? We've really never seen this guy in a big singles matchup on a pay-per-view. This is his first opportunity to shine, especially against an opponent like Seth Rollins. And Elias took his spot here tonight. He took his opportunity and he shined. And good for him at that. He's a very aggressive style in the ring and it fits him so well. It brings a legitimacy to what he does. I love it, love it, love it. But the only thing here that I felt was that as soon as this match got into that like third or second gear that it really needed to get into, it came to a close, and with quite an underwhelming finish at that. There was an incredible sequence in this matchup, and this is what I'm talking about where this matchup got going, where Rollins went for a tope suicida, but Elias reversed the momentum and sent Rollins into the barricade, picked him up right away, followed up by sending him to the post, picked him up right away just as quickly, sending Rollins into the steel steps, picks him up right away just as quickly, sends him into the ring, and hits a picture-perfect elbow drop. Holy shit. Crowd was chanting, "This is awesome," by the time that was over. And I'm like, yes, that's amazing. Let's see what this matchup can do for the next 5 minutes. And it goes like a minute and a half or so. And it's a series of Okada rolls. And it's Elias with one. Seth Rollins grabs the tight, which is uncharacteristic for a babyface. I don't even think Elias was grabbing the tights. You're going to have to correct me on that one if I'm wrong, but I don't even think Elias was grabbing the tights, and Seth Rollins grabs the tights, and it's 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins retains the Intercontinental Championship, which is a good finish, and it sets it up for Elias getting another opportunity at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. I understand why they did that, and it opens up the opportunity for these guys to have a better match and improve even more so against what are on top of what they did here tonight. And there's no doubt that continuing this feud is a good thing. This is a very, very good feud. This is an Intercontinental Championship feud that I want to see go the distance. So good on them for continuing this feud. I like that. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this matchup, when it really got going, I mean, it was going, but when it really got going and the crowd was like thunderous, I think it ended a little too soon, and the finish was a little underwhelming for what it could have been. But regardless, a very good matchup here tonight. Elias with a very good showing. Seth Rollins with a very good showing here tonight. Well, Seth Rollins always has a very good showing. That's why he's the Intercontinental Champion. This guy has been on an amazing hot streak as of late. But from there, we go on to a down for this show, which was the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And this matchup as a whole was inconsistent because it was a very good and great, I would go as far as to say, yeah, this was a great Money in the Bank ladder match. And I would go as far as to say that the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match here tonight on the show was better than the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The women, I think, got more time than the men, that's one, and they did more exciting things. It was a more frantic pace, where the men's Money in the Bank ladder match took shape mostly around getting Braun Strowman out of the way. It was like the women's, it was like woman after woman after woman trying to claw and scratch for this opportunity, and one's knocking one down, and it's big spot after big spot. It just felt like this frantic pace. It was just a big exciting 10 minutes of this matchup where everybody's just trying to get there, and it came across as a very good Money in the Bank ladder match. They didn't do too much that was out of the ordinary. But I would definitely go as far as to say that this matchup was better than what we saw from the two past previous Women's Money in the Bank ladder matches that happened last year at Money in the Bank and on Smackdown respectively. And I would go as far as to say that it is better than the men's Money in the Bank ladder match that we saw here tonight. Actually, I feel like the men's Money in the Bank ladder match that we saw here tonight didn't even deliver that much. and we're going to talk about that when we get to talking about that matchup. But either way, the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, as far as what we saw in ring goes, that was a great matchup. But they got the finish completely wrong, and that's going to lead me into a big rant because, yes, Alexa Bliss did win the Money in the Bank ladder match here tonight, and that made no sense whatsoever. But either way, this Money in the Bank ladder match laid way for some women to shine. And when I talk about women shining, Ember Moon took her spotlight here tonight, and she shines. I mean, she shined, bro. She dominated in the beginning of this matchup and had some great back and forth encounters with the likes of Sasha Banks and Naomi. At one point, she even hit Sasha Banks with a springboard crossbody on the ladder. That looked absolutely great right there. They set up 2 ladders with multiple women on the matchup, and at the same time they were all on the ladders. That made for this frantic pace with Becky going down with a ladder, Natalya powerbombed Sasha from the ropes onto a ladder, Charlotte also powerbombed Ember on a ladder. Lana had her time to shine here when she locked Alexa Bliss in the Accolade during this matchup. There was a super close call, and I was like, oh shit, are they really going to give it to Naomi? Naomi, she had the briefcase in her hands, and it looked like it was over before thankfully Becky Lynch intervened. Charlotte and Becky, they had a cool stare down atop the ladder before other women came in to shut that down. From here on out, it was woman after woman after woman taking turns, knocking each other down. They teased the 2 actually rumored winners and the 2 winners that would have made sense, believe it or not. Ember Moon and Natalya. Natalya was climbing up the briefcase. That was actually getting heavily booed from the Chicago crowd. But Ember Moon comes and intervenes, and she's climbing up the ladder. And I'm like, yes, Ember should do it, especially after the performance that she put on here tonight. I was rooting for Ember. Ember did fantastic in this matchup. There's no doubt about that. She was the highlight of this Money in the Bank ladder match. But unfortunately, Ember Moon was shut down. I forget by who. But it continued on here until WWE had to cater to their little goddess, Alexa Bliss. For the second year in a row, it looked like Becky had the Money in the Bank contract won. And I much rather have seen Becky Lynch. If you wanted to go the unpredictable route, I would have given that title to Becky Lynch, hands down. But of course, WWE did not decide to do that. They did not decide to do that, and here tonight, it was Alexa Bliss who knocked Becky Lynch off the ladder. Becky Lynch went crashing down onto another ladder, and Alexa got her climb to the top, grabbed the briefcase, and that made me sigh so hard because what a terrible finish. And for all of you who are on board with Alexa Bliss being your Raw Women's Champion, which she was by the end of this pay-per-view, I mean, what are you doing? What is the thought process behind something like that? Like, hasn't Alexa Bliss gotten enough time to shine on this show? Holy shit! How long is WWE going to continue with Alexa Bliss? Last time that she had an actual relevant title reign was her first time holding the Smackdown Women's Championship. And now she's a 5-time Women's Champion. 5-time. What sense does that make? What sense whatsoever? You have got to be kidding me with that result. Does WWE, does Vince McMahon realize that Sasha Banks is on the same brand as Alexa Bliss? Do they not realize that? Yet Alexa Bliss was your women's champion coming out of the show here tonight. You have got to be kidding me with that result. And we're going to skip over whatever matchup followed the women's championship matchup, Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. We'll get to that. And I'm going to go over what happened in the Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax match, because this was absolutely terrible. Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax, they were actually putting on a very decent matchup here tonight. Ronda Rousey just continues to show that she is great at what she's doing, and she's just naturally made for shit like this. She's very much proving that she's a Kurt Angle-esque learner. She is going to pick this up quick, and she put on a better matchup with Nia Jax here tonight than what we've seen between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. If anything, I would have had Ronda Rousey win the Women's Championship, because I would go as far as to say that Ronda Rousey is better than Alexa Bliss. Holy shit, bro. Holy shit. Either way, it looked like Ronda Rousey had this matchup won. Nia Jax actually got in a lot of offense on Ronda. She hit a Samoan drop, almost hit the leg drop, but Ronda Rousey took advantage, went into that killer Ronda mode, was about to lock in the armbar, and Alexa Bliss comes in, starts hitting everybody with the briefcase, assaults the shit out of Ronda Rousey, makes sure she's laid out, sends her over the announce table. She hits Nia Jax in the arm, which they were playing here in this matchup to be injured. She hit her in the arm multiple times. DDT, Twisted Bliss, new Raw Women's Champion. And that is bullshit, because this exact situation is what should have happened with Natalya. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning of this review when I said that WWE has no attention to detail. They have no storyline continuation. Because if you were smart, if you used your brain, and here's the kicker, if you cared what WWE would have done in this matchup here tonight, is that they would have had Natalya win the Money in the Bank and done the exact same thing that Alexa Bliss did. They would have had that be Natalya, because that would have actually made sense, in the sense that, I mean, Natalya has been set up as Ronda Rousey's friend. Natalya has been set up as the one who trained Ronda Rousey. Natalya and Ronda Rousey have something to do with each other. Instead, you continue to place Alexa Bliss in a spotlight which, quite frankly, she does not deserve. And for what? And for what? To do Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss again? You mean to tell me that we have not been given Bayley versus Sasha on a proper platform on this show, yet Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss is going to get a second go-around? Oh my god, that makes my brain hurt, that makes my head hurt, that makes me want to not watch this crap forever, bro. That makes no type of sense whatsoever. Don't ask me what the goal here is, because quite frankly, I see none. The Alexa Bliss moment in the sun is over. She had a terrible Women's Championship reign. Like I said, her only last relevant reign was when she first held the Smackdown Live Women's Championship, because she was actually something new. She was actually something fresh. But it's come to a point where you are just sick and tired of Alexa Bliss, because she's been put in the spotlight for so goddamn long, and undeservedly. Give somebody else a time to shine, and it worries me that you go with Alexa Bliss to give that time to shine, because after Alexa Bliss, it's undoubtedly going to be Ronda Rousey. And after Ronda Rousey, I mean, there's going to be a long time where none of these women get a time to shine with that championship, because it's just going to be Ronda. So it's just going to be over for everybody else on these brands. I mean, Sasha Banks is not going to get her opportunity. Bayley is not going to get her opportunity. Ember Moon is not going to get her an opportunity. Natalya, and these are all women who can actually go. Yet Alexa Bliss, who's had her moment in the sun, who's a 4-time women's champion, 3 times on Raw and 2 times on SmackDown, yet she's the one you choose. Yet that's the opportunity you give. That is bullshit, bro. Bullshit. And that was just the worst part of tonight's show entirely. Both her winning the Money in the Bank and the cash-in. No sense whatsoever in that decision. At all. But either way, Ronda Rousey continues to prove that she is absolutely fantastic in her role. And Nia Jax actually brought Ronda to a very decent matchup here tonight, which is something that I did not expect, especially considering how green Nia Jax is in her role. To think that Ronda Rousey's been in that ring with people who are relatively less experienced, Stephanie McMahon, Nia Jax, she has still managed to deliver 2 head-turning performances ever since debuting. That's something that is truly impressive. There's no doubt about that. But we continue on here. Alexa Bliss is your new Raw Women's Champion coming out of tonight's show, and it makes no sense. We move on here to probably the most enjoyable part of the show. Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. What the hell did you expect to see with this match? Like, honestly, what is the thought process in WWE? Let's put Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns. Did they really think that this would get Roman over? Because if they did, that is the most hilarious thing I have ever heard. They should have known from the very offset that this matchup was going to be an array of chants that are just belittling to whatever the hell you are seeing in the ring, and they did nothing besides the very bare minimum as far as the in-ring action goes. Nobody could have given less of a fuck in that arena, whatever these guys were doing. Once again, let's run through the chants. CM Punk chants, boring chants, NXT chants, Rusev Day chants, Johnny Wrestling chants, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. People were doing the wave. This match sucks. And this match was being chanted. Holy shit, bro. Y2J, Velveteen, delete, 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 asshole, this is awful. And they were chanting, let's go beach ball. There were beach balls in the crowd. What a fucking train wreck. My lord. My lord. Yet WWE, they continue to put Roman Reigns in the spotlight. They continue with this never-ending Roman initiative. And I continue to ask the question, what is the end result? You're going to put Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, and the exact same thing is going to happen. The exact same reaction is going to be achieved. And this exact same reaction was achieved at Backlash, it was achieved at WrestleMania, and it's going to continue to be achieved each and every single time that you see Roman Reigns on a pay-per-view with a crowd that has common sense. It's not going to end. So I continue to ask the question, what is the end goal here? At this point, there is no choice but for you to realize that this is not working, because at this point, it is insulting. That is how I felt watching this matchup. That was my main reaction. I didn't care about what was going on in the ring. There was nothing special going on in the ring. They didn't put on a bad match by any means. But that was besides the point. I didn't even care about what was being chanted, because at this point, it is insulting that you're getting reactions like that. It is insulting that nobody who's watching at home cares. It's being trashed on Twitter, throughout all social media, yet WWE continues to ignore this. The commentators continue to push Roman. The camera angles, the muting of the crowd, everybody, and the way this show is booked continues to put Roman in that prime position. And for what? What sense does it make? Oh my God. This was terrible. And it was insulting. And it is about time that WWE goddamn realizes that this is not working. And they need to end this shit before it ends them. Oh my God. This matchup was terrible, and this entire matchup and what we've seen here tonight was the definition of WWE ignoring its fans, and that sucks. That sucks. Either way, Carmella versus Asuka. Moving on to shit, moving on to garbage, moving on to crap. So bullshit. Why the hell would Asuka be so goddamn fazed by the sight of some goof, some chinless garbage? The rage. I hate seeing Asuka lose. I hate her being booked so incorrectly, because you know the heights that Asuka should be ascending right now on the main roster. Yet that goddamn reaction that she had to seeing James Ellsworthless in her goddamn robe and mask, she looked like an absolute fool. Asuka was made to look like a fool from an undefeated streak that went over 500 days to a bullshit excuse for a quote-unquote distraction in this matchup, and a shitty botched kick by Carmella being enough to beat her. Oh, that makes my brain hurt so much. This match was terrible. Carmella, you have Kazuchika Okada in New Japan with a title reign which has an average match rating of 5 stars. Carmella, she's setting records in her own right. Her title reign is going to have an average title defense match record of 1 star, because all these matches are worth 1 star. They're all terrible, they're all garbage, and WWE's booking certainly does not help the situation. James Ellsworth returns and helps Carmella win here tonight, as if that's going to help her title reign. It is not. That is all I have to say about that. Asuka was screwed here tonight. She was made look like a fool here tonight, and it's bullshit. It is so goddamn bullshit. And you see those 2 downs right there. You see all those rants right there. We move on to an up. More inconsistency. It was Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles here tonight, and Styles and Nakamura no doubt put on a barn burner here tonight. Excellent last man standing matchup, but the question here is that you've got to wonder what is left for Nakamura after this matchup. So many WWE title shots against Jinder Mahal. Countless. I don't even know how many title shots this guy has gotten at this point, and all of them have been failures. That is not a good look on Nakamura's resume. And there were some great spots and near finishes that definitely had me biting my nails during this matchup. Nakamura ran across all 3 announce tables at one point and hit a Kinshasa on AJ Styles. AJ Styles got up. AJ Styles was hitting the balls by Nakamura and still got up. He gets hit by another Kinshasa, still gets up. AJ Styles hits a phenomenal forearm and a Styles clash off the steel steps. Nakamura gets up, kicks Nakamura in the balls. Nakamura gets up and he's saying, "Come on, AJ." Just the absolute most insulting thing. That's actually when AJ kicks Nakamura in the balls. Phenomenal forearm through a table. Nakamura cannot get up, but there were some great moments in this matchup. Very intense and probably more extreme than anything that we're going to see at the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. There was a lot of intense, stiff shots in this matchup. AJ would target the knee of Nakamura with a chair multiple times in this matchup. Some great stuff. There's no doubt about that. But you gotta wonder, where does Nakamura go on from here? There are some great feuds aligned for AJ Styles for that WWE Championship. Andrade Cien Almas, if they want to go that route. Samoa Joe, there's no doubt about that one. And of course, Daniel Bryan. All fantastic matches that you can have for AJ Styles down the line with the WWE Championship. And that's probably why they kept it on him. I'm just glad that this feud got a clear finish. And clearly, that finish allowed for this matchup to shine. I was very surprised that they did not go for that double count-out finish. And quite frankly, after seeing this matchup and how well it turned out, I'm glad that they didn't. They give this matchup a full 40 minutes or so. And these guys, they started slow, but they worked their way into the best matchup of the night. And that just goes to show you how great Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles are. There is no doubt that should have made the main event of this show here tonight. And I'm actually quite bummed out that wasn't the main event, because this would have been a great way to end it. And AJ Styles, WWE Champion, when was the last time he main evented a goddamn show? Holy shit. Get that WWE Championship on the main event of the show, because even what the main event was here tonight, which was the Money in the Bank ladder match, it kind of disappointed. It sent the crowd home happy because Braun Strowman won, but it was kind of disappointing. And moving on to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match here tonight. The entire beginning of this matchup was focused on taking out the biggest threat in Braun Strowman. It divulged into all the superstars throwing ladders set up on the stage on top of him. Miz remained in the ring, and this was a great spot in this match because Miz remained in the ring. He set up a ladder for himself, which highlights the craftiness of the Miz character. Either way, Samoa Joe, he bolted into the ring to stop the Miz in his tracks. The match went as normal until Strowman resurfaced, and all the competitors once again put their focus on him, with Owens trying to get him through a table, or on a table so he can jump off the table and hit the frog splash spot, of course, that we've seen on Monday Night Raw. WWE refused to do that. It was Rusev and Samoa Joe holding him down in order for Owens to fall down, but Braun Strowman managed to kick his way out of that. He got on top of the ladder, caught Owens, and this was the spot of the matchup. There's no doubt about that. Threw Owens off this tall-ass ladder. Big spot here. Threw Owens off this tall-ass ladder. He goes through a bunch of equipment. That was a great spot in this matchup. Certainly very entertaining stuff. Either way, this matchup went on here. That was a beautiful spot. But Rusev, he got his moment to shine in this matchup. And a triple accolade on Bobby Roode, Kofi Kingston, and The Miz. The crowd was going goddamn crazy for Rusev, which makes you question, why didn't they give it to Rusev? That would have actually helped Rusev. But, of course, that wasn't the case. Instead, they have him do a submission in a Money in the Bank ladder match. Wow, that makes Rusev look so smart. Either way, triple accolade on Bobby Roode, Kofi Kingston, and The Miz. He almost grabbed the briefcase, but The Miz was there to stop him. Finn Balor also got his moment to shine when he used a big-ass ladder that Kevin Owens tried to use on him earlier and hit an elevated coup de grace onto Bobby Roode. That was a very nice-looking spot as well, and there were some very nice-looking spots, but in the end, it was the finish that really boggled my mind. It was very unpredictable. I did not expect this to be the case, because even the way this was set up, it's not like a usual thing. Usually the ring is clear of all the superstars, and it's a slow climb up to grab the Money in the Bank. No, Braun Strowman was on the top of this ladder, had Kofi Kingston on top of him, pretty much shook Kofi Kingston off. Kofi Kingston went crashing and burning down to the ground, and Finn Balor was just down on the ladder. I forgot what happened to him, but he fell off the ladder, and he was like at the very tips of the ladder, at the first rungs of the ladder. So, I mean, Braun Strowman takes the briefcase, and yes, I understand what WWE wants to do with this. They want to have it be so Braun Strowman cashes in on Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. They can do this one of two ways. It's either going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, which sounds like a lot of fun, said no one ever, or it's going to be Braun Strowman in this matchup, or Braun Strowman cashing in like an actual babyface, which would make the most sense, and challenging Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam, where hopefully he would take the title off of this guy. I have no goddamn idea, but Braun Strowman wins your Money in the Bank. That makes no sense to me at all. Why does Braun Strowman need Money in the Bank? He is this monster. He should be able to get all these things and all the boosts that the Money in the Bank usually gives you. He has that already. The crowd is behind him already. He is a babyface at that. What use is he going to get out of the Money in the Bank ladder match that you could have given to a Miz, which would have made sense because you could have done the Daniel Bryan arc? What are you going to do in that scenario now that you could have given a Rusev because he's incredibly over and he can use the boost? Even a Samoa Joe, even Finn Balor, Bobby Roode could have used that Money in the Bank, but instead, none of that. It's in Braun Strowman's hands, and that's not necessarily something I'm against. I love Braun Strowman, and if it leads to him winning the title, all right. But it's just not a Braun Strowman-esque accolade. It's not something that he necessarily needs, and it's a waste of the Money in the Bank ladder match. That's what I feel. Both of the Money in the Bank spots were wasted when they could have been given to a Natalya and Ember Moon, when they could have been given to a Rusev or a Miz. Both of those spots were wasted, and it quite frankly came across as very rushed, and WWE put these Money in the Bank briefcases in the hands of these people for the sake of unpredictability. And it's not necessary. It's not necessary at all. So that's your Money in the Bank. That is your Money in the Bank. Hopefully you enjoyed each and every single thing that you heard here on the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Had a lot of fun making this Money in the Bank review, and I feel like I got most of my point across. Hopefully, watch me come back later and be like, oh, look at that right there. I missed talking about that. But either way, that was your Money in the Bank review. Very, very, very unbalanced and just inconsistent show. Look at this. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass, up. Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley, down. Elias versus Seth Rollins, up. Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, because of the end result, down. But even that was an inconsistent match in and of itself. Either way, Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns, down. Carmella versus Asuka, down. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura, up. Nia Jax versus Ronda Rousey. The match was good, so that's an up. But the Money in the Bank cash-in was garbage, so down. Men's Money in the Bank ladder match, the match was entertaining, I guess, so up. But the result didn't make sense, so down. What type of inconsistent show were we watching here? Get your shit together. Put on good television. You can do so much better than this with the roster you have. That is the general consensus for Money in the Bank. Hopefully you enjoyed each and every single thing that you heard here, because for now this is going to be all for Joel Perez of the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel. Make sure to go check out all the other content, Raw reviews, Smackdown reviews, Behind the Mic, pay-per-view reviews, all that on a weekly basis right here. So make sure to subscribe, smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like this video if you enjoy what you're hearing here, comment in the comment section below everything you're thinking. Make sure to go support the social media, because for now, this has been Joel Perez of the Ringside Wrestling YouTube channel, and for now, I am out of here.